This message did not come your way by chance, chosen one. It's wonderful timing. You did not stumble upon these words. You were directed. There are no coincidences in fate. What you are going to hear is not for everyone. That's why few people will understand you. It is because you can hear something that they cannot. You feel things that they are numb to. You see through things that they are still blind to. You're tuned onto a higher frequency that isn't drowned out by the world's noise. And this is precisely why you've always felt misunderstood. You've gone through life carrying a reality that cannot be explained, just felt. While others followed trends, you looked for significance. You attempted to fit in, but as you did, you lost yourself. That anguish in your soul was not emptiness, it was a calling. This message is a confirmation. You're not too much, and you're certainly not alone. You were chosen to take a different path and hear a different sound, and now it's time to figure out why. Let's break it down. Before we begin, please take a moment to like, and subscribe if you haven't already, as this message is intended for those who are truly engaged. Every chosen one walking on a higher frequency should hear this. If this message has already struck a chord with you, leave a remark with the number 77. That is not a random number. It is a heavenly signal to the cosmos that you have recognized the truth. You've united with the unseen and are ready to receive what has already been prepared for you. Only those who are truly selected will feel compelled to persevere till the end. And if that's you, you're not just listening, you're awake. You will gain insight, develop your spiritual sensibilities, and begin to comprehend why you have always felt misunderstood. Remember, this is more than simply information. It is a revelation. Watch the video as many times as your soul requires. Each time, a fresh layer of truth will emerge. What your soul is prepared for, it will hear. The frequency does not alter, but you will. Let's dive in. Chapter 1. The frequency you hear is not from this world. You've always noticed that your movements, thoughts, and reactions differ. It's not like you try to be different. It's who you are. There was always something about you that didn't quite fit in with the beat of the world around you. Others were drawn to commotion, drama, and distractions, but you preferred significance, depth, and calm. You've been tuned into a frequency since birth that most people are unable to discern. It's subtle. It is spiritual. It is sacrosanct. It does not come through the ears. It passes through the soul. This frequency is not from our reality. That is why the world does not comprehend you. It is not about being superior or higher than others. It all comes down to paying attention. You're like a radio that receives signals from another realm, a supernatural signal that only the chosen can understand. That's why you've always felt like you were caught between two realities, the one everyone else sees and the one you feel. Even when you didn't have the words to express it, you were always aware of the spiritual realm. While most individuals follow what they can see, you are guided by your emotions. You read energy before you read text. You can tell when someone's grin does not match their spirit. You can feel the tension in a room before anyone says anything. You sense the spiritual river flowing beneath the physical world. As a result, your reality is complex, rich, passionate, and frequently inexplicable. Others may walk through life on autopilot, but you experience everything in high definition. You can't help but see the patterns, hear the underlying messages, and feel the energy shifts. It's as if your soul is constantly awake, even while your body is drowsy. While they're engaged in surface-level conversation, you've tapped into the silence underneath the cacophony, the location where truth whispers. You sense fundamental realities that others deny. You can detect hidden agendas before they become obvious. You come into a room and can tell who is real and who is wearing a mask. You cannot undo it. You cannot turn it off. It is not simply a personality attribute. It is spiritual discernment. Your intuition isn't paranoid. It's about perception. And it has been honing from the day you were born. And because you can hear what is unspoken, feel what is unseen, and know what has not been stated, you are misunderstood. They accuse you of being overly sensitive, intense, or excessive. They tell you to relax, quit overthinking, and let go. But what they don't realize is that you're not reacting emotionally. You are responding spiritually. You're picking up frequencies they're not even aware of. You're tuned into what's going on underneath the surface. And this can be both beneficial and detrimental. You were never meant to fit in since your gift is designed to stand out. You were never intended to fit the mold since your spirit was sent to break it. You were chosen to hear what others cannot, allowing you to live in ways that others will not. You may feel like an outsider at times, but in reality, you're simply working on a higher level. That frequency may isolate you at times, but it may also elevate you. It offers you insight. It grants you foresight. It grants you access to the divine. So, if people don't understand you, let them. When others misinterpret your silence, depth, and stillness, bless them and move on. They can't hear what you're saying because they weren't called the same way you were. You're not crazy. You're not broken. You're not lost. You are simply listening to a sound that only the chosen can hear. And the music is beckoning you home. Chapter 2. Your sensitivity is a superpower, not a weakness. You've probably been urged to toughen up, stop overthinking, or let things go. You've been trained to believe that your emotions are a burden, that your depth is something to be embarrassed about. But they don't grasp that your sensitivity isn't a weakness. It is radar. It is discernment. It is spiritual intelligence. You are not merely emotional. You are aware. You aren't overreacting. You're responding to something that others don't even notice. You see shifts in the atmosphere, spiritual warfare disguised as emotional undercurrents that others ignore. Even if everyone else is smiling, you might come into a room and instantly sense that something is wrong. You hear the unsaid, feel the unseen, and sense what cannot be expressed. Your soul is continually scanning, evaluating, and deciphering what is actually going on behind the scenes. It can be taxing at times, not because you are weak, but because you are extremely sensitive. You feel exhausted in certain environments, heavy around certain individuals, and apprehensive for no apparent reason. But it isn't entirely in your head. It is in your spirit. The weight you feel is not imaginary. It is energy. That feeling isn't paranoid. It's about perception. You're not simply reacting to what you've seen. You are responding to what is real, even if others do not see it. You've probably been in circumstances where you knew something wasn't right despite everyone else saying it was okay, and you were eventually proven correct. That is not luck. That is discernment. That is spiritual awareness. That's why you become tired of phony enthusiasm. Because your spirit recognizes when someone is wearing a mask. You notice anomalies in their tone of voice, the feeling behind their statements, and the energy behind their goals. That's why short talk drains you. You need authenticity, not repetition. That is why you cannot force yourself to remain in crowds or social situations that appear chaotic or inauthentic. Loud rooms, phony grins, and shallow vibes. They don't simply irritate you, they exhaust you. Because your soul is allergic to everything that contradicts truth. You are tuned in to the divine, and the rest of the world thinks that's crazy. However, being misunderstood is part of the assignment. You're wired for a deeper connection, a greater purpose, and a more meaningful life. You were not intended to thrive in shallow seas. Your soul was designed for depth. While others may not understand why you cry when you pray, why you need time to recharge, or why you withdraw to be alone, God does. The supernatural understands exactly how you're made. Your sensitivity isn't a design defect. It is divine architecture. The world tells you to numb it and shut it down, but your sensitivity is your compass. It guides you away from danger and into divine alignment. It shields you from energies that do not support your growth. It assists you in determining what is real and what is merely noise. It's how you maintain alignment in a mismatched world. And once you stop apologizing, you will begin to own it. The chosen one. Don't dim your light merely because it makes others squint. Don't reduce your sensitivity simply because it makes others uncomfortable. You were chosen to feel so strongly for a reason. You are called to heal, see, sense, and lead. Your sensitivity is your superpower. And in a world full of numbness, you are proof that God can still speak. Chapter 3. You say the truth. That is why they are silent around you. The chosen one. Have you noticed how certain individuals go silent when you walk in? The room shifts, the atmosphere thickens, eyes move away. Conversations are cut short. It is not paranoia. It's presence. You have a spiritual gravity that unsettles anything artificial. Your frequency expects the truth. It causes masks to slide off. It persuades without having to say anything. You do not need to call someone out. Your energy does it for you. You force people to confront the very things they have been attempting to suppress, avoid, or flee from. You do not speak to impress. You talk to awaken. You're not interested in superficial conversation, gossip, or unsubstantiated opinions. Your words have weight because your spirit contains truth. You've seen too much, felt too profoundly, and gone through too many storms to consider anything superficial. And because you function in the truth, you will instantly uncover lies, not just in words, but in people, events, and atmospheres. Your presence casts a spiritual beacon. When that light beams, anything hidden in the shadows begins to squirm. They feel vulnerable around you because your spirit is too authentic to pretend with. People don't avoid you because you harm them. They avoid you because you notice them. You can see past the filters, the performance, and the mask. And not everyone is prepared to be seen at that level. That's why talks become awkward. That is why some friendships terminate after a single deep moment. That's why people can be friendly to everyone until they meet you. You are not a safe haven for their illusions. You are a mirror, and not everyone is prepared to face their reflection. You've undoubtedly wondered, what did I say wrong? Or, why did they pull away? But the answer is that you didn't say anything wrong. It's that your truth struck the correct chord. Some people would rather remain blind than open their eyes. And when your light strikes their darkness, it stings. You're not condemning them. You're reminding them of who they could be if they stopped running from themselves. You don't fit in because you don't let yourself down. You do not sugarcoat the truth to make it easier to swallow. You embody prophetic insight, heavenly wisdom, and genuine authenticity. And that is an uncommon combination. It's quite powerful. And yes, it is intimidating. People may label you intense, distant, or even too deep. However, they are simply not used to someone refusing to wear a mask. You are a spiritual disruptor, a cycle breaker, and a truth teller in a world filled with comfortable lies. That's why people either adore you or avoid you entirely. There is no in-between. You compel them to choose. Stay sleeping or wake up. You are the unexpected crossroads. You are the heavenly interruption to their routine of pretending. And that is precisely why you must remain true to yourself. Even if it is lonely, misunderstood, or scares people away. Because your truth does more than just reveal. It also heals. It doesn't merely confront, it liberates. And those who are actually meant to walk with you will not be offended by your vulnerability. They will be motivated by it. So, the next time they fall silent in your company, recognize that it is not rejection, but recognition. Their spirit recognizes that yours is different. Their soul knows you're on the same page, and they remain silent. That demonstrates that your truth is loud enough even when you don't say anything. Chapter 4. The loneliness was not a punishment. It was a preparation. You've spent long seasons alone, away from the commotion, divorced from the mob, forgotten by many, and misunderstood by even more. You questioned yourself. You wondered if there was anything wrong with you, if you were broken or cursed, abandoned while everyone else moved on. But here is the truth. That solitude was not punishment. It was a preparation. God removed you from the commotion, distractions, and voices that clouded your mind and spirit. He took you aside, away from the mob, to fine-tune your frequency. In that quiet, he was doing something you couldn't see. He was clearing the channels so you could hear his speech clearly. No interference or static. Because what he has asked you to accomplish is not for the majority. It is not a path taken by the noisy or distracted. It requires something more profound. Clarity, insight, and calm. You were not rejected. You were not abandoned or forgotten. You were refined. Loneliness was a forge for refining your spirit, burning away impurities and honing your essence. It was God's silent classroom, with lessons delivered in silence and alone. There he taught you to listen to his voice above all others, to separate truth from distraction, and to discern your soul's subtle movements. This was the moment when your faith was tried and strengthened, similar to how gold is cleansed by fire. Every day you were shaped into someone bigger than before. Your spirit acquired resilience in silence and patience in stillness. That silence you despised. That awful emptiness you wished to escape. It was what made your spirit sharper, stronger, and more alert than ever. You are now moving differently as a result of the preparation. You move with a fresh understanding that is not dependent on praise or acclaim. You walk with purpose. Every step is led by divine intuition, which cannot be taught in large rooms or noisy conversations. You have a peaceful assurance that no storm can shake, since it began in your alone. The world may try to drag you back into the chaos, but you've learned to stay grounded in serenity. Your soul is now singing a melody. Only those who have experienced quiet can understand. You now understand. The loneliness was never supposed to break you. It was the hallowed space where you got ready. Prepare to stand firm in your calling, speak plainly, and move with unstoppable authority. The world may never truly understand what you went through, but that's okay. You were not designed for a crowd. You were designed for the moment when your clarity shines brightest, when your voice is heard over all else. This period of seclusion was sacred preparation. God's way of saying, I'm preparing you not only to survive, but to thrive. Not just to speak, but to lead. Not just to walk, but to soar. And now you rise. Chapter 5. You cannot undo what you have seen, and that is the point. Once your spiritual eyes are opened, there is no turning back. It's as if a curtain has been pulled back, revealing a reality under the surface of daily existence. A reality brimming with unseen forces, secret meanings, and divine messages. Suddenly, you see indications where others perceive merely coincidence. A specific lyric in a song stops you cold, resonating so profoundly that it feels like a direct communication from the cosmos. Dreams that were previously rejected as foolishness have transformed into rich tapestries replete with warnings, instruction, and glimpses of a future that only you comprehend. Even stillness becomes a sacred language, a place where your soul listens and communicates without words. While many around you may roll their eyes or dismiss your experiences as deluded or unreal, you know they are genuine. You can feel it deep in your bones and every fiber of your body. This awakening is not your choice. It chose you. It crashed into your life, irreversible and forceful, like a hurricane reshaping all it touches. You perceive layers of truth that others don't. You can feel energy, vibrations, and tiny changes in the air. You see things that most people ignore. You can't act regular anymore. Sitting through hollow conversation seems painful, like a creeping suffocating of the spirit. Small talk, pointless gossip, and distractions that formerly occupied your time now exhaust you. Instead, your soul seeks depth, purpose, and authenticity. There's a continual demanding pull, a call for more truth, more purpose, and more connection with something bigger than oneself. You've seen and felt too much. You know too much. The veil has been lifted, and your eyes have witnessed a reality that cannot be undone or forgotten. This knowledge distinguishes and separates you, making you the black sheep, the misfit, the person who never quite fits into the world's expectations or molds. You may feel confused, out of place, or even rejected by former friends. People may mutter about you, call you crazy, or doubt your sanity, but you know in your heart that this metamorphosis was intended to happen. And chosen one, here is the truth that will set you free. What if you weren't designed to fit in? What if your individuality, vision, sensitivity, and refusal to accept a superficial life are just what the world requires? What if your difference is actually your greatest strength rather than a flaw? The path you walking is not the easiest option. It is a lonely path, frequently defined by trial and sacrifice. You might have lost friendships, relationships, or a sense of belonging. However, this solitude is not punishment. It is preparedness. The forge is where your soul is tempered, your courage is strengthened, and your purpose is honed. You are becoming a beacon for those who remain lost in the darkness. A link between seemingly unrelated worlds, your ability to see beyond the veil, hear the whispers of the unseen, and feel the pulse of the divine in the ordinary. This is your gift. It is what will direct you and others toward a new way of being. You cannot unsee what you have witnessed because it is your awakening, truth, and power. And the world is waiting for the light that only you can provide. So embrace your enlightenment, even if it feels uncomfortable or isolating. Stand solid in your truth, even if the crowd tries to draw you back into the comfort zone. Trust that your trip, no matter how difficult, will get you exactly where you need to go. Chapter 6. They will not understand you, until they also awaken. You're attempting to explain a language to folks who don't even recognize the alphabet. You are speaking from a place they have not yet reached. It's like describing color to someone who has only ever seen black and white, or explaining a song to someone who has never heard music before. They're not unwilling. They simply don't have the experience, awareness, or vibration to understand what you are saying. And that can be really lonely. It can feel like you're shouting into the void, attempting to construct bridges when the other side isn't ready to meet you yet. But being lonely is not your punishment. It's up to you to prepare. Your journey is like a lighthouse in the darkest storm, unflinching and steadfast, guiding people who are lost without requiring immediate attention. Sometimes the most significant impact you have is unseen in the moment, but it reverberates through lives in ways you cannot yet see. Remember that even seeds buried deeply in the earth develop roots before sprouting. Your impact is active underneath the surface. Trust that your authenticity has a magnetic pull that brings the appropriate souls to you when they are ready. And when that time arrives, the quiet you endured will give way to a symphony of understanding, thanks, and shared brightness. But do not be discouraged. Don't dim your brightness or your truth simply because others don't understand. Some people will only understand you if they awaken to the same frequency. Once people start seeing through the same lens you've been using all along. Until then, it is not your responsibility to persuade or alter them. Your role is simpler and more powerful than that. Your duty is to be yourself, to shine in your authenticity, to embrace your mission, and to live fully in your truth, no matter how alone or misunderstood you feel. Your presence is a beacon, a silent reminder to others about what is possible. Every second you choose to stay on your path, you make it easier for others to eventually follow in your footsteps. You are not here to be understood by all. You're here to remind others of who they are beyond the surface, beneath their anxieties and uncertainties. And for many, your very presence will plant a seed, a delicate awakening that will unfold in its own time and on its own road. Growth does not occur on a schedule. It happens when the heart and mind are prepared. Later, much later, when they awaken and look back, they will know what you have always said. They will realize the wisdom and strength you possessed. And what was formerly perceived as a language barrier will transform into a shared understanding, a friendship formed through growth and enlightenment. So stay strong, keep shining, and tell your truth in the way only you can. Because your light is not for everybody. It is for those who are prepared. And when they are, your words, appearance, and very being will serve as the catalyst for their own awakening. Chapter 7. Stay tuned in. Your assignment lacks clarification. Chosen one, don't allow the noise of this world drown out your signal. Stay tuned in. Be still enough to hear the whispers. Maintain a high level of sensitivity to detect changes. Your task is divine, and it necessitates a firm, unflinching commitment to your inner guidance and higher purpose. Distractions will occur. Doubts will attempt to obscure your perception. But your clarity must remain unwavering. You were not created to follow trends, gain favor, or fit in. You were created to travel in harmony, even when the path is lonely and the throng appears to be moving in the opposite direction. You were chosen to hear what others miss, to see the subtle clues and hidden realities, and to act on what others overlook. This is not a call for the faint of heart. It requires courage, patience, and unwavering trust. The world requires your frequency, even if they may not comprehend it right now. Your energy serves as a beacon for others who are ready to awaken, guiding them through the chaos. Keep listening, feeling, and rising above the noise and confusion. Your persistence is your strength, because one day, the same people who misread you, doubted your vision, and questioned your path will return to ask how you knew. They will be in awe of your unshakable focus and the outcomes that only clarity and determination can achieve. That moment will not simply be a vindication. It will demonstrate that keeping tuned in, even when it seemed that no one else is listening, was your greatest strength. So take extreme precautions with your signal. Protect your precious sanctuary. Continue to strengthen your connection with your higher self and the divine wisdom that flows through you. Your assignment is too critical to risk losing due to distraction or doubt. This clarity will serve as your compass, anchor, and superpower. Remember that clarity does not emerge from noise. It stems from quiet. So, keep tuning in, listening, and taking the route designed specifically for you.